The training hall fell silent. Not the comfortable kind of silence. Oh no. This was the type of silence that made your scales itch, the kind that preceded either spectacular success or catastrophic failure. Instructor Vax stood at the center of the combat arena, all 7 feet of scaled authority, holding what humans called a longsword. His reputation preceded him. 300 cycles of military service. Veteran of the Krellin Wars. A fighter who'd seen more combat than most species had seen sunrises. Listen carefully, Vax said, his voice carrying across the assembled recruits. Every species in the Galactic Coalition has limitations. Physics doesn't care about your feelings. Biomechanics doesn't care about your ego. The 3 have 4 arms but lack depth perception. The Volner have incredible strength but terrible reflexes. And every single one of you can only effectively wield one primary weapon at a time. He paced, tails swishing behind him. Dual-wielding is a myth. A fantasy. Your brain cannot process 2 separate attack patterns simultaneously. Your body cannot maintain proper form with divided attention. It has been tested. It has been proven. Cannot. Done. That's when she walked in. Late, of course, because apparently, human recruit Kira Vance operated on her own personal timeline, one that existed somewhere between fashionably late and completely oblivious. Sorry, she said, jogging into the arena. Her dark hair was pulled back in what humans called a ponytail, and she wore the standard coalition training uniform. Nothing special. Nothing remarkable. Just another human. Got lost. These corridors all look the same. Vax's eyes narrowed. How generous of you to join us, Recruit Vance. Hey, I'm here now, right? She flashed a smile that was probably meant to be charming. It wasn't. What did I miss? I was explaining why dual-wielding is impossible. Kira blinks. Once. Twice. Then she tilted her head in that peculiar human way that usually preceded something either brilliant or incredibly stupid. Impossible? Like, completely impossible? For everyone? Did I stutter, recruit? No, sir. Just clarifying. She walked toward the weapons rack, her movements casual, almost lazy. Because, impossible is kind of a strong word. Vax felt his secondary eyelids flicker. A warning sign. 40 years of teaching had given him a 6th sense for trouble, and this human was broadcasting it like a distress beacon. The laws of biomechanics are not negotiable, Recruit Vance. Right. Biomechanics. She picked up a training sword. Standard issue. Balanced for Krellin physiology, which meant slightly heavy for human hands. She tested its weight, gave it a casual spin. These laws, do they have like a suggestion box? For complaints? Nervous laughter rippled through the other recruits. Vax silenced it with a glare. This is not a joke, recruit. Oh, I'm not joking, sir. Kira picked up a second sword. I am genuinely curious. See, I've been dual-wielding since I was 12. Fencing club back home. Instructor said I had a gift. Then I tried Cali sticks, Filipino martial arts. Got pretty good at that too. Then there were the knives, the batons, the... Recruit Vance. Yes, sir. Put. Down. The... swords. She looked at him. Really looked at him. And in her eyes, Vax saw something that made his combat instincts flare. Not aggression. Not anger. Something worse. Amusement. Or what, sir? The arena went dead quiet again. Vax's jaw clenched. Excuse me? I mean, with respect, sir. You just said it's impossible. So if I hold these 2 swords, nothing's gonna happen, right? Because it can't be done. So there's no harm in me just holding them. The logic was infuriating. The delivery was worse. Fine, Vax growled. Hold them. Stand there like a fool holding 2 weapons you cannot possibly use effectively. When you're ready to stop wasting everyone's time. Kira shifted her stance. It was subtle. Her feet moved maybe 6 inches. Her shoulders rolled back. The swords, held loosely a moment before, suddenly seemed to settle into her hands like they'd been forged there. Actually, sir, I was thinking we could test this theory. Vax's tail stopped moving. What? A demonstration? You said it's impossible. I'm saying, Well, I'm not saying anything yet, but I'd like to show you something. If you're willing. This was a bad idea. Every instinct Vax had cultivated over 3 centuries screamed at him that this was a monumentally bad idea, which is probably why he said, very well. Show me. Kira Vance. Just so we're clear, when I make you look silly, you're not going to fail me out of spite, right? Make your attempt, recruit. I'll be generous and try not to laugh. She moved faster than Vax expected. The first sword came high, a diagonal slash that he parried easily. Textbook attack. Predictable. The second sword, though. The second sword came low, a thrust aimed at his midsection that forced him to twist, to retreat, to actually work. Interesting. Lucky strike, Vax said, circling. Let's see if you can. She attacked again. Both swords this time, working in a pattern that shouldn't exist. The human brain couldn't track 2 independent attack vectors. It was neurologically impossible. Yet somehow, someway, her left hand knew exactly where her right hand wasn't, and both blades moved in perfect, terrible harmony. Vax blocked, parried, retreated another step. The other recruits were whispering now. He could hear them, could feel their attention shifting from him to her. Unacceptable. He launched a counterattack, a feint followed by a real strike that had ended sparring matches in under 3 seconds. Kira twisted, both swords moving in opposite directions. One blade deflected his attack. The other came within an inch of his throat. She froze there, breathing hard, grinning wider. So, Kira said, her voice carrying across the silent arena. Define can't. The training hall had gone from silent to absolutely suffocating. You could have heard a scale drop. Vax stood there, frozen, staring at the blade hovering near his throat like it had personally insulted his entire ancestry. Which in a way it had. Recruit Vance, he said slowly, carefully. Lower your weapon. She did. Both of them, actually. Then she stepped back, still wearing that infuriating smile. Good match, sir. You almost had me there with that feint. Very creative. Almost had her. Almost. Had. Her. Vax had trained coalition soldiers for 4 decades. He'd personally instructed 2 generals, 17 colonels, and more combat specialists than he could count. He'd written 3 manuals on proper sword technique. And this human, this barely graduated academy recruit who showed up late and couldn't follow basic directions, had just made him look like a hatchling in front of his entire class. How, Vax said. Not a question. A demand. Kira schockt. Practice? I mean, you said it yourself. Biomechanics. Humans have pretty good hand-eye coordination. Plus, our brains are wired a bit differently. Split attention tasks. Multitasking. We're kind of built for it. That's not. Vax started then stopped. Because technically, she wasn't wrong. Human neural architecture was different. Their evolutionary path had been weird. Throwing weapons while running. Using tools with both hands simultaneously. But still, the research says. The research was done on Krellins, Volner, and Threen subjects, right? Kira tilted her head again. That gesture was going to haunt his nightmares. No humans in the study? Silence. Because of course there weren't. Humans had only joined the coalition 6 years ago. Most of the biomechanical combat studies were centuries old. That seems like an oversight, Kira added helpfully. Recruit Merrick, a Threen with 4 arms and 0 sense of self-preservation, raised one hand. Sir, if humans can dual-wield, does that mean the combat doctrine needs revision? Vax's eye twitched. It means Recruit Vance is an anomaly. One exception doesn't invalidate 300 years of established military science. Want to test that theory? Kira asked. Absolutely not. Because I'm pretty sure my friend Jake back in basic training could do this too. And Maria. Oh, and there was this guy from Tokyo who was insane with butterfly swords. Probably half the humans in the service could. Enough. The word echoed off the walls. Vax took a breath. Then another. His meditation instructor would be disappointed. You have made your point, Recruit Vance. Congratulations. You possess a skill that your species apparently hoarded as a surprise. How delightful. Now, if we're finished with the theatrical demonstrations, perhaps we can return to actual training. Kira nodded, started walking back toward the other recruits. Then she stopped, turned around. Actually, sir, I have a question. Of course she did. What is it, recruit? If humans can do something that the rest of the coalition thinks is impossible, what else can we do that nobody's tested yet? That question hung in the air like a live grenade. Because that was the thing about humans, wasn't it? They'd arrived in the galaxy 6 years ago with their primitive ships and their weird biology and their absolutely baffling cultural concepts. They'd signed the coalition treaties, followed the rules. Mostly, but nobody had really pushed them. Nobody had really tested their limits. Until now, Vax looked around the training hall, at the Threen recruits with their forearms, at the Volner with their massive strength, at the Prill with their enhanced reflexes, all of them staring at the human who'd just rewritten the rules. Dismissed, Vax said quietly. All of you. Training resumes tomorrow at 0600. Recruit Vance, stay behind. The others filed out, whispering among themselves. Kira remained, both swords still in her hands, looking entirely too pleased with herself. When they were alone, Vax approached her. Slowly. You realize what you've done. Made your day more interesting? You've created a problem. He gestured at the door where the other recruits had left. They're going to talk. Word will spread. Command will hear about this. And then they're going to want answers. Answers to what? To what else humans can do. What other assumptions we've made are wrong. What other advantages you've been quietly sitting on while we trained you according to doctrines that don't apply. Kira's smile faded slightly. Is that really so bad? Finding out the truth? Vax studied her. Really studied her. She was young. Maybe 25 cycles, if he remembered human aging correctly. Barely an adult by her species standards. But her eyes held something older. Something that reminded him of soldiers who'd seen combat. The truth, he said slowly, is that the coalition has operated on certain assumptions for a very long time. We know how each species fights. We know their strengths and their limitations. We plan accordingly. But you humans, you keep breaking the patterns. And that makes people nervous. Good, Kira said. Nervous people pay attention. They adapt. They survive. Or they overreact. Vax crossed his arms. Tomorrow, you're going to demonstrate that technique again. For the Combat Assessment Committee. They'll want to see it. Document it. Probably test you until you can't lift your arms. Sounds fun. It won't be. He paused. But it will be necessary. Because if you can do this, if your species can genuinely dual-wield effectively, it changes everything. Tactics, strategy, training protocols, all of it. Kira grinned again, smaller this time, but no less infuriating. So what I'm hearing is, I just revolutionized galactic military doctrine by showing up late and being stubborn? That's one interpretation. I prefer that one. She set the swords back on the rack, movements careful, respectful. For what it's worth, sir, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. Humans don't like being told we can't do something. Makes us want to prove otherwise. Vax snorted. The sound surprised him. I'm beginning to understand that about your species, Recruit Vance. She headed for the door, then stopped. Look back. Hey, sir. Tomorrow, when they're testing me, can I make one request? Depends on the request. Let me pick my own sparring partner. Her eyes gleamed. I think you and I have unfinished business. And with that, she left. Vax stood alone in the empty training hall, staring at the weapons rack where two perfectly ordinary swords sat side by side. Define can't, she'd said. He had a feeling that question was going to haunt the entire coalition for years to come. And somehow, despite everything, despite the embarrassment and the headache this was going to cause, Vax found himself smiling. Humans. They were going to be absolutely insufferable. He couldn't wait to see what they did next. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.